What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday night. We got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about Shaedon Sharpe. We're going to talk about his athleticism, and I have a couple thoughts as to his draft candidacy that I want to bring up. And then we're going to talk about second round of the NBA playoffs. It should be a pretty chill stream. We're going to, just kick back for an hour and talk hoops with you guys. Thank you for making us a part of your Monday night. Eric, what's going on, man?
Not much. Had an opportunity to go golfing today with an old friend, and
I didn't even know you golfed.
Yeah, well, I don't golf very often, but I love going out and just enjoying being outside. Got lucky with a little weather break today, and didn't play too bad for not having played in like 3 years. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah, I couldn't hang on the course with anyone, man. I do not know how to swing a club, but I do know how to talk hoops, and that's what we're gonna do. So today's been a pretty good day, man. Just got done working with Krish on draft profile graphics, so those should look pretty cool. We're going even more all out on those than I did for the player reviews, and then we're going to use some of it for the draft stream, and we're getting that whole process underway. So I'm looking forward to being able to roll out draft profiles and whatnot. Just upload a sleepers video. Been uploading daily uploads. If you've missed any of them, go check it out over on the main channel. But in terms of the draft, there's been a specific name that's been getting some buzz, and that is Shaedon Sharpe, because he reportedly measured a 49-inch vertical jump, and there was a video of him. It was with one of those sticks, you hit the things that turn, and that's how they measure it. And it was in a private workout, so it wasn't official. Do you believe that number, or do you believe that might be made up a little bit or exaggerated?
I don't know. It's always tough to tell. I'm guessing it's probably off by a little bit, but I mean, it's still obvious that he has hops and can jump out of the gym.
Because for context, the highest jump at the draft combine was 48 inches last year, which was Keon Johnson, right? So that would be a draft combine record.
Well, at the combine, do they have to go? Do they do it flat-footed, or
they do a flat? They do a standing vert, and then they also do a max vert, which is like run up.
Which is the one Keon did 48 inches?
Yeah.
Or was it 47? I don't know, something like that.
I think it was 48. So it would have been a draft combine record highest vertical jump ever.
Mm-hmm.
If it's true. There was a video of him hitting his head on the rim.
Yeah.
So I think it might be true because he's, 6'6", and he hit his head like here on the rim, so you got to think his head's getting up to like 10'3", 10'4", which is 45, 46 inches, which is pretty dang close. So I think it's possible after seeing that video.
I'm starting to think what's going to happen is he's not going to go to the combine and just use these little videos that are leaking as his combine measurements, so we won't actually officially measure, so no one can call him out on it or whatever.
I mean, but that's the case with every top prospect.
Yeah.
Here's my thoughts on him. Let's just segue this into talking about him. He is either going to make or break a GM's career. But there's GMs with a lot of tenure that maybe one draft selection isn't going to make or break, but he's as boomer bust a prospect for a GM in their resume as possible. Because I legitimately think there's a chance that he's just completely overhyped and, because there's no footage on him, right? That's why I sit here and I like the idea of him, but I can't sit here and put him in my top 4 with Ivy, Banchero, Jabari, and Chet, because there just isn't any proof. But you can't rule out that he could be the best player from this draft class. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the best player from this draft class.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked if he just ended up being maybe a role player at best who, ends up having a Dion Waiters type career. I am so I don't know what to make of this guy as a prospect. He's very intriguing, and he's either going to make a GM look like an absolute genius or an absolute dumbass, and I don't think there's really much in between.
Yeah, and so if he kills in workouts, I think he could sneak into the top 3. But yeah, I mean, you're right, Taylor. It's the mystery, but here's what, in my mind, okay, you got, I forgot what the Houston's GM is, but he's only been there a couple years, right, since Morey
Mm-hmm.
left. You have Orlando situation where they've been bad for a while. You know, they flirted with the playoffs. They got in a couple years when they had Vucevic and Aaron Gordon and stuff, but they haven't really. They have a lot of good players, but that hasn't really formed a good team yet. Um, and then you got Detroit, where it has Troy Weaver. I don't know how much of a rope he has to make moves and screw up another draft, or if Detroit doesn't start getting better soon, if they're continually being top five picks, um, like will he be on the hot seat? So the only one, and then also Indiana is above us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Pritchard's been there a really long time. Same with all the rest of the staff there. I think maybe Chad Buchanan's their GM or something. They've all been there for a while. So it's a case where I think as far as the five teams that are above us in the lottery, only Presti is for sure could take a swing and miss or pass on Sharp and still be okay with his job security.
Yeah.
So the other GMs might get in a situation where they have to decide whether to go for a boomer bust prospect like Sharp or possibly be labeled as the person who didn't take him. Kind of similar. It reminds me of the Kobe Bryant situation. Now Sharp's not going to fall till 13 like Kobe did, but it's a situation where all those GMs were questioned for several years after Kobe became one of the best players of all time. Why did this guy fall to 13? And you just can't make mistakes like that if you're these GMs that don't have a good track record of being a good GM. They will not keep their jobs very long if they pass on a guy like that and he turns out to be really good. But at the same time, you're screwed if you pick him and he's not good. So I don't know if they're going to play the safe route. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out over the next month and a half.
I think it makes it easier that every prospect below him has some legitimate question marks.
Mm-hmm.
With AJ Griffin, I'm curious to see what his standing reach is, but he has some question marks defensively too. With Keegan Murray, I think his ceiling is a bit questionable. He's a safe pick, but he's not. I don't think he's going to end up being an all-star by any means. Where Shaden Sharp, I think, has a legitimate chance of being that. Benedict Mathurin, I like, but I don't know how good he's going to be. There's no at 5. I think it's going to be hard to pass him up for a player that's below him.
Yeah.
If this was a deeper draft, maybe it'd be more of a debate. But given the way this kind of draft is shaped up, I think at this point, he's a pretty safe bet to go top 5. Yeah. And I think it's most likely going to be at 5, but as Blazer fans sitting here at 6 with a more likelihood of falling down to 7 than staying at 6, I don't think we're going to be in position to get him unless we jump into the top 4. But then if we jump into the top 4, it's a conversation of, do you take him over a Jaden Ivey, which I was asked in my mailbag, and I want to get your thoughts on that in a second. The only realistic path to getting him is probably jumping up to 3 or 4 and then liking him so much and knowing that he'll be available at 5 and then trading down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only realistic path I see to him, because at 4 I don't know if we take him over Ivy. That's the only other path, is to take him over Ivy at 4.
Yeah. Well, I'm of the opinion that someone might do it. Like I mentioned Presti, and that's why I mentioned the 5 teams above us. Obviously, if he doesn't do well in workouts, this will change everything. But as long as he does fairly well in workouts, especially for the 5 teams that, or whatever, the 4 teams have the top 4 picks, I think he could get into the conversation of sneaking into that top 4. And I think a guy like Presti might be the guy that would take that gamble. So yeah, I don't know. If you trade, like if we were at 4 and OKC was at 5, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded up and took him, knowing that we wanted him, and that kind of happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's tough. As for the question, if we're at 4 and the 3 power forwards all went 1 through 3, I mean, a lot of this still depends on the workouts, and we'll hear buzz on just like how good those workouts are. But I mean, if he's showing out better than Ivy, I think you absolutely have to consider taking him over Ivy in that situation. As crazy as that would have sounded a couple weeks ago.
And see, that's where the that's where the GM will be, made or broken, or however you want to say it. Is, can he figure out what this guy is and is going to be at the NBA level through workouts, because that's the most substance you're going to be able to go off of, And the Blazers under Olshey, I think Olshey had a pretty good judgment of players based on workouts. Now, Portland liked Dame before Olshey was here, yada, yada. But, Dame came and worked out great in Portland, got drafted by Portland. Supposedly Anthony Simons did the same, got drafted by Portland.
I mean, Dame's workout was after Olshey was already here. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's the thing is, for us, it's fun to sit here and speculate, knowing what you know now, would you take him at 4? Mm-hmm. So, knowing what you know now, would you take him at 4 over Ivy?
I don't see, the other part that comes into play is then you're drafting. Are you doing that because of positional need? And is Sharp going to be ready to play more than Ivy? Probably not. I think Ivy's more plug and play right away, but then he doesn't have a path to as many minutes as Sharp. So you get into that problem is, are you drafting the best player to help Dame next year or in the next couple of years, or are you drafting the best player that you think will be the best player long term? And for me, I would always draft the best player I think has the chance to be the long-term player, because I think when you draft based on other factors, you get yourself into trouble. So it's tough for me because, like you said, there's no film on Sharp, so it's just a complete mystery. So I think I would go safe. I'd probably take Ivy still.
Then
figure things out.
There's no college film on Sharp. There is high school film, NBYL film. Obviously nowhere near as substance based as guys playing against college players. He's playing against worse competition, and it wasn't as recent as watching Jet or Jabari or Banchero playing college. And this is what I'm stuck with. Have you ever had a gut feeling about a prospect, but you didn't necessarily agree with it, and you didn't know how to make up your mind because your gut's telling you one thing and your brain's telling you another?
Yeah. I mean, that happens all the time.
He's the perfect case for me, because my gut feeling says that he's going to be the best player from this draft, but I don't necessarily believe that at all. I don't have him in my top 4. I'm just struggling because it's I try and base my opinions off prospects based on substance, and there's not a lot of substance there, but there's certain guys where you just watch them and you can tell and part of it for me is just the way he moves with the ball. Some of his off the dribble moves, if he's truly 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan with a 49-inch vertical, some of the stuff he does off the dribble, if that's something he can do consistently and build upon, I don't know how he's not an all-star at the very, very least. I don't know how he's not a stud in that scenario. And I've seen some breakdowns of some of the stuff he's done defensively, which has me very intrigued as well. It's just it's obviously not as substantial as playing numerous college games and being able to, I haven't watched them for a full game or anything like that. So That's where I'm struggling, where gut feeling says this dude's going to be a freaking stud, but I don't want to base too much off of stuff that's not substantial.
Right.
Because
you could watch a workout of Ben Simmons doing similar stuff and be like, wow, that guy is amazing. He's probably the best player in the NBA or whatever. And then you watch him play and he's just completely passive. And
if he could shoot, though,
yeah.
he would be one of the best players in the NBA.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we've seen video of Nasir Little dominating like workouts like that and doing stuff at that level. So it's really hard to tell, but he does have characteristics of a star player. Like he has the athleticism, he has kind of a swag, he has just a unique creation ability that usually leads to stardom. So if you're telling me 5 years from now Shaedon Sharpe's going to be the best player from this draft, I'm not surprised one bit. Like, I think that's definitely a possibility. The problem is he also has the possibility of being terrible, and like this could be all hype like some people think. But
yeah, I mean, but like part of the conversation, which we should discuss, is situation. Like, what situation could he land in that would get the best out of those characteristics and fully cultivate those characteristics? I feel like Portland would be one of the best case scenarios for him to truly become a star. I think it's worked out for Anthony Simons just having Damian Lillard as a mentor, and you can watch Anthony Simons play, and he has some moves that look like he just stole them from CJ McCollum, some of his floaters, and then he has some moves where it looks like he stole them from Dame. But I think having those two guys as mentors has helped Anthony Simons, and then bringing in Chauncey Billups as coach this past year helped him take a huge jump. And he was a guy who was in a similar position without playing college, just wasn't as highly regarded, which is why he went 24th. But he was a top 10 player in his class, and if there was a redraft, he would be a top 10 pick in that draft. So that's where I really get hung up on, is I think if you bring in Shaedon Sharpe with some of the flashes that he's shown off the dribble and just his physical traits and his athleticism and all that type of stuff, with some of the flashes of creation that he's shown, and you get him playing under Chauncey Billups with Dame as a mentor, I feel like this would be a great situation for him. So that's where I'm really struggling. Like, I don't know. There's a chance that I would want him at 2 or 3. I can't rule that out, because I think this would be a great situation for him.
Yeah, the thing is, I always wonder, I mean, there's no way to know this, but like, if you want it bad enough, if you're a hard enough worker, will you succeed no matter what your situation is? Or if you have to rely on like situation, is that maybe a bad thing that you need to go to the right situation, you know? Like
I think they go hand in hand.
Right. But like Luka or whatever, would he have been good on any team he goes to? I think so. I think he would completely transform like any team, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why like teams like Sacramento were stupid to pass up a guy who could potentially be your franchise player and just elevate your whole team over. Oh, well, it was they took a power forward, you know, that might not necessarily affect the game in the same way. So it's tough because, yeah, or if, like Bradley Beal, for example, right? Like if he went to let's just put Bradley Beal on, say, I don't know, the Lakers with Kobe or whatever. Like if it was him and Kobe on that team, and I mean Kobe was still kind of older, but at least he still had a couple years left, right? Does he come out better or the same or worse or what? Like, it's kind of hard to tell, and that's someone that Sharpe's been kind of compared to. So I don't know. It's like, would he be fine? Like if he goes to the Thunder and gets 30 minutes a game right away, is he going to end up better than going to Portland and maybe playing 25 minutes a game, but has much better teammates and doesn't have the pressures of leading a team? It's just, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell for me with Sharpe because, like I said, we didn't have a chance to see it in college. So part of me is wondering if he didn't want to show it that on purpose. I mean, I know that's unfair, but I still wonder like what happened there, and it's tough not being able to interview him or talk to him about it to see where his mindset was on all that.
See, like, I don't want to overthink it in a negative way, because that's kind of what I did with Anthony Edwards and his personality before that draft, and I had him as the number one player, and then, there were some weird interviews, and it's like the questions about whether he loved the game of basketball or whatever.
He said he only played it because he's good at it. He didn't really like it as much as football or something.
Yeah, stuff that would be like a red flag, you know what I mean? And then he's come in the league, and he's been what he's advertised to be. In his second year, he was a big part in the Timberwolves making the playoffs. So I don't want to get too caught up in thinking, oh, what if he didn't play for this reason? Could that be a red flag? I don't want to get too caught up in that over just trying to just look at the talent, because I don't want to make the same mistake I did with Anthony Edwards, who this season averaged 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in his second year at 20 years old.
Yeah. I think you even, right before the draft on that day, you knocked him down a few spots in your...
I knocked him down to 4. Yep, I knocked him down from 1 to 4 because I didn't like hearing that type of stuff, and I'm like, if this dude doesn't, you know what I mean? But I overreacted to it. So now it's like I'm trying to learn from that. That's the thing, is paying as much attention to the draft as I have for years. There's certain guys that I get wrong, and I try and figure out, okay, why did I get this guy wrong? And then I try and learn from that. So I'm trying not to think too much about, oh, why didn't he play or whatever. I'm just trying to look at what's in front of me, to be honest. And I'm really impressed with, obviously, if he's truly 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan. I mean, this dude hit his eyebrows on the rim, so I would assume he's 6'6", or you really jumped 49 inches off the ground in that video, and he was leaning too when he hit his eyebrows on the rim. I think he could be a legit 6'6", 7-foot wingspan. I mean, with what he does, that's hard to pass up.
I'm half joking when I say this, but kind of serious too. What are you doing risking an injury trying to prove that you can touch the rim with your forehead?
He's probably done it that just many seems times really before. Dumb. He's probably done it.
I know, but that just seems like such a silly thing to do. I mean, Anthony was smart enough to pull up and not actually kiss the rim, even though that would have been epic. But
I'm not gonna. Dude wants to bang his head on the rim. He can bang his head on the rim, and I'll draft him for it because that's a freak athlete.
All it takes is one time hitting that rim wrong, and he might not play again.
I mean, as far as the situational thing versus kind of the situational thing that you talked about, though, is I don't think it would necessarily be a situation where he'd need Portland. I just think being able to have a mentor there every single day to explain things in a way that makes sense, because they're a player, you know what I mean? They're out there with you, and just having a leader like Dame, I think, is just an extra boost for even if the dude works hard as hell and would succeed in any situation, just having a player like that there, and then having Chauncey as well, who is a guy who's had success teaching players how to read the game over a short coaching career. I just think that's an extra boost. So if he works hard and then ends up in that situation with everything that he's shown, I mean, the sky's the limit with his potential. And it's something that you have to seriously consider at 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to seriously consider the possibility that he might be the player to draft. And I'm not saying he is. I don't know, and I won't know on draft night, because you got to run him through some workouts and run him through some challenging situations on court, and you just got to try and get a feel for him in an individual workout, which obviously I'm not going to be there for. So that's on the GMs across the league to try and figure this dude out. And that's why it goes back to my first point I made. It's going to make or break a GM based on their evaluation on him and whether they pass him up or not. Because we could be sitting here saying, oh, the Kings move up to 2, right? And take Banchero. And Banchero could be the next Marvin Bagley for whatever reason. And Sharp could be, a superstar. And we'll be saying, why did they pass on Sharp?
But it's tough because, Luka was the MVP in the Spanish league. He had the body of work. Just Like people
Yeah, but
question whether it was
you know what the
translate.
questions were. Yeah, his translation questions, and he's not athletic, and yada yada. So
It's just, yeah, man.
we hadn't seen a star like him, a perimeter player that plays as like slow and methodically as he does in a while. So I don't know that if they were necessarily like non-deserved question marks. He just obviously answered them like, yeah, I could play this way and still freaking dominate.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have taken him number 1 that year, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Bagley was seen as like he was like the number 1 player in high school, and I don't remember what you were saying about him, but he was seen as like a top prospect. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's easy to think back now, like, why did they take him? Mm-hmm. What did they see in him? But he was good at Duke, and he was a top player in high school, so... Yeah.
I liked Luka 1. I had 8 and 2, and then I liked Bamba, and I liked Bridges.
I liked Bridges.
I liked both Bridges.
Bamba.
I liked Mikal a little more though.
I think I had Mikal at 4, if I recall correctly. I don't remember. I was looking back at one of my mock drafts from that year, and I think I had him at 4 or 5. So I think I forget who I had at 1. My phone's dead. I would look back and see right now, but
Trae Young was in that draft too, and Jaren Jackson. I think you had those guys. I don't think you had Mikal 4.
No, I had Trae below Mikal, at least based on the mock draft, at least like a month or so before, because I had like the big board rankings on it, and I had Mikal 3 spots above Trae, but I don't know if I changed it on draft night. I don't remember. That's why it's nice having Fanspo now, because we can save and look back, but it doesn't go back that far.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. Now, if you're at 5 or 6, I mean, obviously the Blazers can't get 5, but I think it's worth the gamble. So if for some reason we stay at 6 and he's on the board, I think you have to take him there, even if he has some bad workouts, maybe even. But yeah, it's definitely going to be crazy. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll know a lot more than we know now.
Well, speaking of the draft lottery, all right, so it's funny because I said at the start of my first mock draft video, this is based on a tankathon sim, and people are like, what is this order? I'm surprised you didn't put the Bucks at number 1. It's like, what are you talking about? So, for that reason, let's do a tankathon sim, and this will decide the order of my next mock draft.
All right.
My mock draft with trades, okay? Just so people can't say, what the hell is this order, yada, 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 all right? So, let me pull this up here. That's one of my pet peeves with that video, is people crying about the order, like as if it's blasphemous, when it's obviously just a tankathon sim. The lowest team was the 8th ranked team. So, if we get more Charlotte, BS, then...
Tori, would you rather have Sharp or OG?
Like, are we talking about like either draft Sharp or trade the Portland pick for OG?
Yeah, like if that was the option.
Oh God.
Well, what's tough about that is, like I said, I don't think Sharp's going past 5, so that would mean we moved into the top 4. I'm not trading a top 4 pick for OG. I would probably trade 6 through 8, but Sharp wouldn't be on the board, so it's tough because I don't think those are going to be the choices. But
I just don't think we're good enough to win a championship with maybe we are, but I have a hard time seeing us winning a championship with Dame, Ant, OG, Jeremy Grant, and Nurkic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good team, but is that a team that wins a championship? I have a hard time seeing that. Whereas with Sharp, it's like if he reaches his potential, like I think he has superstar potential. Like that's his ceiling, is becoming a superstar caliber player. And if you draft him and he reaches that, you really got a chance to win a championship with Dame, Ant, and him. because his ceiling is him being a really good on-ball defender too, because he has that sort of potential as well. So I would take Sharp instead of OG.
Yeah, it's tough because we need something to happen to where someone just pops, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's Ant becoming a star player or like at least an all-star type player, or Nas realizing his potential as a Mikal Bridges type or something like that, or becoming the next OG himself, or a draft pick popping. We kind of need something to happen along those lines. So yeah, it would be so much easier if we had 2 picks, because then we could still have a chance at hitting a home run on someone, and we could still trade for OG with the other one. But yeah, it's just really tough.
Yeah, I think you just gotta go for upside there, and Sharp has the upside. I like getting OG would make us definitely better next year, and probably better the year after. It's just, I'd rather have a small chance at Sharp becoming a superstar than having OG. Because it's like having OG, we'd have a smaller chance of winning a championship than I think there is a chance of Sharp becoming like a fringe superstar.
Yeah, it's still, to me though, it depends on. I mean, we're kind of projecting that Sharp will be a riser in this, but he could still not impress any teams in workouts, and
I just don't think there's much of a chance of that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that it's not guaranteed that he's going to wow people.
Like, he'll come in, pull off some dribble moves, freaking dunk himself through the rim, and GMs are gonna be like, yeah, we're taking this guy if he's there. I mean, yeah, and then he'll enter the dunk contest, and Vince Carter will look lame. He'll dunk his whole body through the rim without a trampoline. And...
Man, I hope Dame is like part of the workouts. That'd be awesome if he
he will be.
If he like challenges Sharp and Ivy or whatever 1-on-1.
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be cool. Or
yeah.
That would be intriguing, man. I hope so. But anyway,
I would love to see Ivy versus Sharp. They probably would never agree to work out at the same time, but that would be pretty cool to get that.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you mean this isn't 2K? Dame is. I have a feeling he's going to be very involved, a lot more involved than he has been.
He's watched draft workouts.
He's shown up to practices, before,
Summer league practices he's shown up to. Like he's pretty active within the organization and the practice facility, so wouldn't rule it out. Anyway, let's simulate this lottery. This will be the order for mock draft 1.5. I'll still have people crying about the order, but it is what it is. Only doing one sim on this thing. Cleveland at 14, Charlotte at 13, OKC at 12, New York at 11, Washington at 10, San Antonio at 9, Pelicans at 8, Sacramento 7, Indiana falls down to 6, which means Portland jumps into the top 4.
So people are gonna whine that you cheated.
Nope, one sim, man, one sim. Orlando, we have like 100 people here as witnesses, all right? And then Orlando at 5. At 4, you got Detroit. At 3, you got Portland. At 2, you got OKC. And at 1, you got Houston. This creates, because it's a mock draft with trades, this creates some interesting potential options. Yeah, Anyway, that'll be the order for it. So, not super crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, very kind of mundane, so hopefully nobody freaks out about it, but... I always get that. What is this order? What the hell are you doing? Why don't you have the Nets at 2 and 3 and the Bucks at 1? Like, I had a comment like that. It doesn't make any sense. Because neither of those teams have any draft picks. That's the answer. Anyway, speaking of the Bucks, they took care of business game 1. Phoenix won game 1 against Dallas. Miami won game 1 against Philadelphia, who's without Embiid until probably game 3 or 4. And then you had the Warriors beating the Grizzlies. We could talk a little bit about the second round action. Eric, do you want to talk about any specific series?
Yeah, let's start with the Philadelphia 76ers and Miami Heat, because I have something to say about that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Doc Rivers is washed, man. That guy is terrible.
When was he ever good, though?
No, he hasn't been. But dude, this guy. Well, first of all, they had audio on him during timeouts on the TNT broadcast, and the guy was like literally just told his players, "We ain't going anywhere. Just keep playing, and we'll win this game." Like that was his strategy, and that's all he said in the timeout. It was like, okay,
that sounds
Doc.
like some Stotts stuff.
Yeah. No, Stoss doesn't say anything, remember, because there's nothing he could say.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, it's like, and then after the game, he was asked why he played DeAndre Jordan, and it's like, fine, if you want to start him, start him. But this clown doesn't even take ownership for doing it. He was like, well, I talked to the players and they really wanted a big man out there with them, so I just went along with it. Well, then what's the point of even having a coach? Like just let the players coach then if you're not going to do anything.
And back to the 1940s when they had player coaches.
This guy, like in round one, he called out Harden. It was like, I mean, it's not like it's unjustified to call out Harden because he hasn't been good, but like, this guy's constantly pushing the blame on other people. And it's like, you are the coach. You decided to start DeAndre Jordan. Don't put that crap on your players.
Yeah, I mean, I've known because I believe Romp. Yeah. And Romp on Twitter just hates it, dude. It's like us with Stotts last year. And the dude just rants about Doc Rivers, man.
And then
I can't blame him.
I know it's tough without Embiid, but Paul Reed's actually played pretty well, and he's a good player that could help them win games. And he treats him like he's some scrub that doesn't deserve minutes and whatever. Like, I know he has to play him, but it's like, dude, just give him the start and let him. Like we talked about with the young guys on the Blazers, if one of those guys pops or something, that could help you elevate your roster, right? So just give someone a chance. You know DeAndre Jordan's not going to do jack squat against.
He was a minus 22 in 17 minutes, which means that the Sixers outscored the Heat by 8 with him off the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Crushable says that he was really hoping that Doc would blow a 3-0 lead. That would have been hilarious. I would have felt so bad for Sixers fans like Romp, but he was kind of rooting for that too, actually, so I wouldn't have felt that bad.
Because Doc Rivers would have been fired, so it would have been a silver lining, right? Yeah, I don't think the Sixers are going to win the game without Embiid, especially with Doc as coach.
And he's just like, well, I'm going to keep starting him. I don't care what anyone says. It's like, well, yeah, you're a moron.
Yeah. So DeAndre Jordan next game against Bam Adebayo, that'll be fun. I mean, Tyrese Maxey was 6 for 15. James Harden was 5 for 13, 5 turnovers, 5 assists, 16 points. I mean, yeah, James Harden, speaking of washed, Eric, are we at the point where he's just washed?
It's tough because I know that injuries are still probably factoring a little bit, and he's always been a player that's teetered on weight issues, like slowing him down a little bit. So when he's not able to fully get into shape, like he isn't quite as quick. And in the playoffs, especially against teams like Miami who have quick wing defenders, he just can't get by anyone like he used to. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's something that if he trains all off season and gets in a little better shape, if he can regain a little bit of that quickness. But he is getting up there in age as well. So
he's only 32, though.
Yeah, I know, not necessarily age, but just like that takes a toll on you. Just doing that, like 60 possessions a game. You know, that same thing will happen with Luka. And I mean, LeBron's.
Luka knows how to play slow, though. You know, so I wonder, like, how slow does he have to get to lose some of his ability, right? You know, lose some of his production.
And then, you know, the new rules aren't really factoring as much as they were at the beginning of the season, but you could tell it definitely affected how he tries to foul bait and stuff. So, like, I think it's in his head a little bit still.
I mean, that trade has ended up being a lose-lose.
I know, yeah.
Somehow.
I mean, I guess if you're the Nets, you can say you still have 2 first-round picks out of it, but, yeah, I don't know.
That's wild. All of a sudden, what Houston got for James Harden doesn't look so bad. They should have just taken on Jarrett Allen instead of letting Cleveland have him. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Sixers can be competitive. I just think Miami's going to make the conference finals. And honestly, dude, I'm still not super impressed with Miami. I still don't really. I think if they were in the West, I don't know if they'd be a top 3 team in the West.
Well, they didn't have Lowry tonight either.
Yeah, but still, I don't think they're better than Phoenix for sure. I don't believe that they're necessarily better than Golden State or Memphis either. And I feel like Dallas, if things went right for Dallas could beat them in a series. I don't really like them. I don't know.
I don't know. They have, Butler's playing on half a leg too, because he's been having knee issues. I think part of it is some of those players are in and out of the lineup, so it's hard to be consistent. But when they're all healthy, it's on paper it seems decent enough. It's not like it's not good on paper, but they're one of those teams that the sum of the parts is better than the.
Well, they also have Spo.
Yeah.
And Eric Spoelstra is arguably the best coach in the league. He's definitely a top 3-4 coach in the league, so that obviously matters. You got Spo versus Doc Rivers. If you flipped the coaches, I would actually like Philadelphia in this series.
Yeah.
But
well, it's tough
it
without
is,
Embiid, though.
Still, like Spoelstra knows how to coach, man. He knows how to game plan. He knows how to adjust. He's not just going to start DeAndre Jordan for the hell of it and say, well, I'm going to keep doing it even though it was a disaster, right? And it's not even like DeAndre Jordan statistically played that bad, but, at some points you can just... I didn't watch this game specifically, so I can't pinpoint things that happened on the court, but logically, you don't want to put your aging, already declined center up against Bam Adebayo.
Sorry, what was he supposed to do? The players wanted a big man out there.
Say, no, I'm the coach. I'll decide who to start. Screw off and win this game. We're going to start George Niang at center. No, not that. But, start Paul
Niang
Reed.
was horrible tonight, too.
Yeah, he was 0 for 7. But start Paul Reed. He's 6'9", but, Bam is 6'9", Bam is mobile. You got to start a mobile defender. Your screen and roll defense will be better. Sure, you might struggle a little bit on the boards, but you got Harden there who hunts boards like a, that dude goes after boards. He got 9 boards tonight at the shooting guard position. You got Tobias Harris, who's an okay rebounder, I guess, not great. So you might give up a little bit on the offensive glass, but it's not like they did well on the offensive glass in this game. They gave up 15 offensive rebounds. And 5 to PJ Tucker. How do you give up 5 offensive rebounds to PJ Tucker?
The ball just bounces to him in the corner, I guess.
Yeah, so it's not like you're doing well on the defensive glass yet with DeAndre Jordan starting. So play Paul Reed, man. Start him. Make an adjustment. It didn't work in game 1. Give him a different look. Bring out a guy with more energy. Maybe it'll energize your team a little bit. Seems pretty obvious. And if he starts DeAndre Jordan again... good luck.
Yeah, clearly a bot says, why do players like DJ so much? Kyrie wanted him and KD. They picked him for their mid-level exception that year. They came there, whatever, maybe not mid-level exception, but they had $10 million or something in cap space left over, and that's who they decided to sign. And then they chose to keep him over Jared Allen and stuff. It's just terrible decisions.
Yep, absolutely. What other... do you want to touch on all 4 series?
Yeah, sure. Bucks were surprising. They continue to be... you thought the Chris Middleton injury would maybe derail their chances at a repeat, but they've been just killing it.
They have the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Right now. They have the best player in the world.
Yeah.
24 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. And then they defended. Giannis didn't even shoot super great, but his impact just in every facet of the game and the threat of Giannis, the dude can shoot 40%. And you still, the only way he's going to shoot 40% too is if you send a ton of guys at him. So it's you can look at him and be like, oh, 9 for 25, that's not that good. But his teammates are getting, great shots because of how much attention you have to give Giannis to hold him to a 9 for 25 night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's evident when the dude has 12 assists. So they won this game on the defensive end, though. The Bucks won 101 to 89. The Celtics shot 33% from the field, 36% from 3. They were 18 for 50 from 3, but inside the arc, they were 10 for 34, which is basically 30%. It's even less than 30%. So they couldn't score around the rim. Brook Lopez had 3 blocks. Giannis 2 blocks. They started Bobby Portis too, so that's a really big front court. Giannis, Portis, Brook Lopez, and Boston couldn't score at the rim. That was the story of this game, basically.
It's amazing. Ever since he went to the Bucks, how much Brook Lopez has become a good rim protector, because he was never really known for his defense, and he goes to the Bucks and all of a sudden he's like one of the best rim protectors in the league, and unfortunately had the back issue. I think that bled into last year, and then he sat out most of this year to get that okay, but it's just, that guy's the difference maker on that defensive end, and it's kind of weird to say that.
Yeah, and Bobby Portis looks like a better defensive player than he did when he was with Chicago, because he wasn't a good defender coming into the league, and he's become at least a serviceable defender, if not better. So Milwaukee develops players defensively, and then you got Drew Holiday and Wes Matthews, 2 good defenders as well. So really good defensive team. But this is a team, especially with Middleton, that can win it by playing great defense or win it by playing great offense. You know what I mean? Their offense can take an off night. They can have a night where they struggle offensively and they can still win somewhat comfortably against good teams. That's why they're defending champs, and at this point they are my favorite for the championship. I think I had Phoenix. I forget what my predictions were. I think I had Phoenix going in, but from what I've seen from Milwaukee without Middleton, especially defensively, this team is just all around complete. That's the thing, is with Portland, if they have a bad offensive night, they're not beating a good team. That's been the way for a while, unless the other team misses a bunch of quality looks, or Portland just has an outlier game where they actually defend for once, right? Milwaukee has so much room for error because they get it done on both sides of the ball, and they will consistently be a good defensive team because of the size and the defensive talent they have. So it's almost like there's less pressure on them offensively because they know that they don't have to have a great offensive night to win games.
Well, they also have less pressure because the last few years it was always Bucks are going to choke again. And they were half an inch away from that happening last year, I guess. But it's Zach's on hiding bots, I guess. Nice going, Zach. Jeez, man.
Zach is into the bots that come in here and say sus things. Okay, Zach. Zach like the kissy emojis and the hearts and whatnot. Anyway.
But I think, despite how good they've looked without Middleton, I think they still need him in a series against the Suns. I think they're hoping if they can take care of business against Boston, that some of those other series go long and maybe they get Middleton back in the middle of the next series.
I think they can beat the Suns without Middleton.
I wouldn't go that far. The Suns are dang good.
Suns are dang good, but I think the Bucks could beat them without Middleton. Now, that's different than saying they would beat them without Middleton. I'm not predicting that they do beat them if they don't have Middleton, but I think they are good enough without Middleton to have a chance of beating the Suns in a series.
Middleton being able to get a shot off when their offense kind of bogged down last year was a huge difference maker, especially in one of the games. Yeah.
I just think they're so good defensively that they would have a chance to win that series off of defense and off of Giannis just kind of carrying the offense. They're that good defensively.
Burner doesn't like that you're that down on the Suns. I'm
not even down on the Suns. I'm just high on the Bucks, man. I'm just high on... dude, they lost Middleton and just started dominating. Yeah, and it's not like they're better without Middleton, but they haven't missed a beat.
But, it's one game against the Celtics. Yes, they played really well. But Celtics aren't going to shoot that poorly either, so it's going to be a closer game, you would think. But the Bulls are terrible.
But how much of an outlier is them struggling that much at the rim? Obviously, it's a little bit of an outlier, but it's like if they just couldn't make a three, I'd be like, okay, 3-point shots are extremely variable. But when it's something where they shot under 30% inside the arc, I'm not so confident that they're just going to all of a sudden shoot 50% inside the arc. They could. I feel like this is a situation where the Bucks...
I mean, I'm not looking this up, but I'd venture to say the Celtics are one of the better teams inside the arc this year in the NBA, so I don't know.
Yeah, they'll do better. I just don't know how much to believe that's an outlier compared to 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're starting a lot of size, and you're starting a really good defensive starting five in Milwaukee.
Yeah, but Wes, it's kind of like the Chris Paul thing. It's like, can he give you good minutes every single game in a series? You probably are happy to just get like 4 or 5 games.
I mean, he just has to play defense.
Yeah.
In 29 minutes, he had 5 points. He was 2 for 7 for the field, 1 for 6 from 3.
Yeah.
He just has to play defense, is what it is. And if you want, a little bit more shooting in there, Grayson Allen's been playing solid. You bring him in instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm super high on the Bucks. I think they for sure go to the finals at this point. I'll do my Charles Barkley. Actually, I can't do his voice, but I guarantee it. Okay, that's a Charles Barkley guarantee, which isn't actually a guarantee, but I guarantee it.
Yeah, I still think they're going to be lucky if they get out of the series without Middleton, and they need him back. But yeah, if they have Middleton back at some point soon, and he's close to 100%, then I do think it's going to be tough to beat them. But
yep,
the Suns are dang good too, though. And they match up somewhat well with them. They just obviously choked the 2-0 lead last year.
Yeah. I just think like in a finals series, the Bucks are going to have less pressure because they just won it. Whereas Chris Paul, it's like this might be the last good chance for him to finally win a ring. I think the Suns are going to have more pressure on them. I can't rule out the Bucks beating them without Middleton.
Yeah. It's always, I mean, it doesn't look like it right now, but does contentment ever play, like, are they desperate to win again? Do they have that same drive that they had to win before this happened?
It looks like it right now.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like right now it looks good, but I just don't know if it's sustainable to have your lesser guys step up every game and keep blowing teams out.
The key word is could. Do you think Milwaukee could beat Phoenix in the finals without Chris Middleton? Or do you think they couldn't beat the Suns?
I mean, I wouldn't say couldn't, but I would heavily favor the Suns in a series. If the Suns are healthy and the Bucks don't have Middleton, I think the Suns would be heavy favorites.
What are the chances you think the Suns would win that series?
Still could win because Giannis can take over a game, but it's
yeah.
just...
What do you think the chances are that the Suns would win that series? That's a better question.
If Middleton was not playing in any game,
wasn't playing. Yep.
I would say like 75%.
I would say the Suns would have a 55% chance of winning this series.
Okay.
I think it'd be close to a toss-up. I think slight favorites would be the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Middleton should be back anyway. With Middleton, I mean, I have to go with Milwaukee in that series, given how they're defending right now. Speaking of Phoenix, they beat Dallas tonight 124-114 or 121-114. They had control of this game for the most part. Dallas made a run there late in the fourth quarter, but Phoenix takes care of business. DeAndre Ayton had 25 points on 12 for 20. Devin Booker struggled to shoot, 7 for 20, had 23 points, but he did have 9 boards, 8 assists. And then Chris Paul, 7 for 13, 19 points. Off the bench, Cam Johnson, 17 on 6 for 10. So those 4 stepped up for them. Luka, 15 for 30, had 45 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. So he had a good game, but Jalen Brunson did not step up and be that second star that he needed. 6 for 16 Shut up, ESPN ad. 6 for 16 from Jalen Brunson. Their second best player tonight was Kleba, Maxi Kleba, 6 for 9 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3. Yeah. So, what are some of your takeaways from this game?
I mean, Luka's amazing, but he's got to have at least. I mean, other than Kleba, he's got to have someone else step up. So, yeah, Brunson's either got to do something, or Dinwiddie's got to play better. He just needs someone to help because he can't beat Phoenix by himself. Even though he probably could win a game or two doing that. But yeah, it's just tough when you don't have a lot of help.
I think there's a 50-50 chance that this series is Suns in 4, which the crowd chanting that is cringe. But yeah. I said this going into the series. I don't really believe in Dallas's roster.
Yeah.
Utah hasn't had playoff success, so yeah, cool. They made it out of the first round, but they beat Utah. And Utah has not been a good playoff team in previous years. They have Luka, and then Brunson is kind of that second guy. Beyond that, like, they have okay role players. They're just it's Luka, and Luka had a great game today.
They don't match up well with Phoenix, but I will say I put myself in the same category, so I'm not calling you out. But we've been kind of doubting the Mavs for several seasons now, and they always are better than what we think they'll be. The kid was better than we thought, or anyone thought he would be. Yeah. Other than maybe the Dallas front office.
We doubted Denver in the first round last year, and then they got swept in the second round of Phoenix. But
what does that mean?
Well, we doubted Denver, right?
But
in our first round.
They beat the Blazers.
Yeah. And the Mavs beat the Jazz.
Okay. But none of us, that's the opposite, right?
Is it? What's the opposite?
I don't know. It's kind of a weird comparison because, like, we thought the Nuggets were trash and they beat us. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're just talking about how we underrate the Mavs in previous seasons, and I agree with that.
We weren't underrating the Nuggets last year. They weren't good.
Well, it's more of a joke about how we thought we were going to win that series, and then we lost in 6.
Yeah, thanks for
But, like, they still got swept. Like, easily swept by Phoenix last year.
Yeah, because they had no good players other than Jokic.
Yes. In Dallas, I mean, Brunson's had some impressive moments, but what was it tonight? The Luka Doncic show, and that's it.
I mean, what was Dallas in defensive rating this year?
I don't know. What was Denver in defensive rating last year? Because I'd be curious to compare them. This feels similar to me.
In the playoffs, they were not good because we had the highest. They gave up the highest offensive rating in the playoffs to a Stotts team, so they were.
Well, that's because Dame went insane. That's Dame. Being a legend. Yeah. But I don't know. This just feels very similar to me.
Yeah, like Trevin says, you're doubting the Nuggets against us, but you're doubting the Mavs against a way better team than us. I don't know. Seems like a weird comparison.
I was saying the Mavs are the Nuggets, and the Jazz are the Blazers, and the Suns are the Suns. That was the comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any way the series goes 6. I think it's Suns in 5 or Suns in 4.
I mean, the Suns could definitely sweep, and they could definitely win in 5. I don't think I don't know. I think the Mavs have outperformed expectations enough to believe that they're a little better than they should tonight.
Okay, so what's your prediction?
I think Luka gets at least a game or two. So yeah.
Okay, so what's your Suns in what?
Sure, I'll say Suns in 6.
Okay. If it's 5
so
or
it'll be
6,
5.
Yeah, if it's 5, then that's the middle ground. Okay. Split, yeah. I'll go on and say Suns in 4. All right. So I'm rooting for the Suns. I just want to root for my guy Gabe, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and be a Suns fan.
You're saying that after you said the Bucks would destroy the Suns without Middleton. Like now you're saying,
yeah, it goes Mavericks, Suns,
Okay.
Bucks.
Okay, that's fine, but
The
then
Bucks would beat the Mavs in 2.
yeah, yeah. Don't act like you're doing like you're trying to prop up the Suns for game when you just said that they were going to lose.
I believe in the Bucks a lot more than I believe in the Mavericks.
Honest takes when he says he's placating to you. Yeah, okay.
No, it could go 5. I think, as I said, there's a 50-50 chance that it goes 4. Okay, I think there's a 50% chance. I think there's a 45% chance it's Suns in 4. I think there's probably a 50% chance that it's Suns in 5, and maybe a 5% chance it goes 6.
All right. Same with the Bucks versus Celtics.
No, I think the Celtics are good enough to push that series longer. I don't know, man. You like the thing is the Bucks got one on the road. So if the Bucks win game 2, there is a very legitimate chance that they sweep going back home. So it just comes down to game 2. I think this series, if Celtics can win game 2, it has a chance to go 6 or 7. If the Bucks win game 2, it's going 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is where I'm at with that.
All right.
So to anybody that gave me crap, if the Suns win in 4, I expect an apology in chat. Okay, Dro?
Okay. No one said that it wasn't a possibility. It's just
He says I'm smoking a bowl.
It's just you seem very dismissive of it, even of Dallas even having a chance of winning a game at first.
I said at the start 50-50 chance that it's a sweep.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if that's just... We'll see. We'll just watch it play out, you know? The Mavs are going to win freaking game 2, aren't they? Sorry, Gabe, I jinxed your team. Anyway, I mean, my whole thing today in their chat was just telling them how easy of a series this was for them. So that's going to be my thing the whole freaking time. But yeah, you know, go Suns, go. One more series to talk about. You got Memphis and Golden State, Eric. What are your bold takeaways?
Well,
make them extra bold.
Memphis definitely should have won game 1. They blew it at the end there.
So you're saying Memphis is cooked?
No, I'm not saying that. Golden State, I mean, they get Draymond gets ejected. And then, yeah, you got to win that game if you're the Grizzlies. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tough for them. They can still win the series, obviously, but I think mentally that's going to hurt them a little bit, not winning that one.
And they had things go right offensively for them in that game, too. Jaren Jackson Jr., 6 for 9 from 3, 33 points. I don't think he has another game as good as this one for the rest of the series, because he did not shoot the ball well this year. He went 6 for 9. I don't think he's going to replicate that. John Morant kind of struggled in round 1. Had a good game with 34 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, and was 4 for 11 from 3, 14 for 31 from the field, so took a lot of shots. Didn't really get to the free throw line, 2 for 3. I just think that the Warriors are going to be able to take him out of a game or two. I don't know, man. It's hard. My question mark with Memphis going into the playoffs was how would they handle playing in the half court, because the past couple of years they've been a very transition heavy team, one of the league leaders in terms of transition scoring, fast break scoring over the past couple of years. That doesn't translate super well to the playoffs, which kind of the game slows down a little bit, and it's more of a game in which you have to grind things out, and they're no longer the grit and grind. So that was kind of my concern with them. Like, Golden State can play in transition really, really well and go on runs in the playoffs because of that, but when they're not able to get those opportunities, they still play really well in the half court. And that's kind of been my concern with Memphis going into the playoffs. And then, shoot, they wouldn't be playing right now if Minnesota could just hold a freaking fourth quarter lead, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, well, that's what I was going to say is what happened in that series was Minnesota did everything right in the games they lost. They were up double digits in the fourth quarter of 3 of the 4 losses. And that's when You know how for a couple of years we were screaming for the Blazers to play a more fast tempo pace,
Yep.
and it would only happen when we got down in the fourth quarter, and then we'd be like, "Look at how we're playing right now! Like, why don't we play that way
Hmm.
earlier in the game?" And so that's what Memphis was doing. They got down, and then they started playing looser. They started pushing the tempo, and of course, they got easier baskets out of it. And Minnesota didn't have the personnel, I think, to uh, defend them in the transition and to get in a fast paced game. Whereas that's where the Grizzlies are in trouble in this series because, like you said, the Warriors are the kings of doing that. Just knowing when to turn up the tempo, knowing when to play it slow, and they can play either style. So that's going to really help them against a team like the Grizzlies. And I think that's just a really tough matchup for them, despite how well they played them in regular season when
Yeah.
it doesn't quite matter as much.
Because Golden State has experience, and it was partly Minnesota being inexperienced and just not playing good ball during those comebacks. I don't think Golden State, with their experience, championship experience, I don't think they're going to let Memphis come back from any deficits that they face, double digit deficits in the fourth like they did against Minnesota. So I mean, just looking at things like Steph Curry didn't have that great of a game 24 points, 4 assists, 8 for 20 from the field,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't efficient. Klay Thompson was 6 for 19. Now, they did combine to go 8 for 22 from 3. They started
Yeah.
inside the arc, but I mean, you look at Memphis and how Jaren Jackson Jr. played. Like, this was the game they had to win without Draymond. You had some guys step up, and you still lost at home in game one. I'm not saying the series is over, but I am pretty confident in the Warriors being able to take care of business in this one at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis can come right back and win game two, and it's back to being a series again. But yeah, if the Warriors win both on the road, it's going to be tough. But yeah,
And even if Memphis wins, they still don't have home court.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Emerson says Clay missed two free throws. Then did you see him like cussing at himself after the game? It was pretty funny.
no, but I can imagine. I've seen it before.
He was so mad that he missed those free throws, but he was also so pumped they won the game because he had some good defensive moments there in the fourth quarter.
Golden State 13 for 20 from the free throw line. Like, they didn't even
Yeah,
shoot free throws well.
yeah,
Obviously, the one thing that went well for them is Jordan Poole, 31 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. He's been playing well. Obviously, that's a pretty dang good game for him.
But
Even by his lofty standards,
yeah.
given how he's played in the playoffs.
Well, you can't. That's the problem with Golden State. You can't guard everyone,
Yep.
and that's Poole seeing so much less attention. And this is, uh, they're not afraid to let Poole take over. Especially they've been playing him a lot with the second unit, and with Draymond out, obviously they didn't have that secondary creator in that second unit. So they just let Poole do his thing, and he's definitely stepping it up.
Here's the thing: if Anthony was playing for Golden State in Poole's role, I think he could be doing the same thing.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
answered that question on my mailbag, and right now I think you have to say Poole's better because
Yeah.
he's proven it in the playoffs. But it's like if Anthony was put in such a great situation as Poole's in, he could probably do the same thing.
Chief and didn't watch the mailbag. Jeez, man.
Of course he didn't, but it's all good.
Just teasing.
It's literally in the title and the thumbnail, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, right now I'd have to take Poole. Just because he's shown it in the playoffs, but like he had an opportunity to, and in a great situation, so it's not anything that like Simons could have done.
Mm-hmm.
He had his breakout year in a year where the Blazers were tanking. But that's the thing is Anthony, what he's done against defenses where he's like the number one guy with some crappy teammates, and defenses are just loading up on him.
No
makes
shooting.
me more, no shooting makes me more confident in his long term upside than even Jordan Poole's. I think both definitely have all-star ceilings for sure, but I don't know. I haven't seen Jordan Poole be the guy against defenses like that consistently.
There's another example too of someone who went to a situation where they learned from two really good players and were able to. I mean, once again, who knows if Poole went to the Thunder or whatever, if he would have been good or not. But yeah, he definitely picked up a lot of stuff from the way they play
Yep, agreed.
and the way he was mentored.
Yeah. That's the thing where people talk about, oh, trade Dame and go full rebuild. I think it's beneficial to have Dame here for young players.
Mm-hmm.
Having a leader like that, I think that's kind of important. It's been important for Ant, because Ant plays the same position, so it's been more important for Ant than like a guy like Nas, but it's just helpful to have that mentor. And that's what helps having, like, Chauncey can kind of be that mentor for guys more so than I thought Terry Stotts could be. Because Chauncey played more recently. I think that gave him a better perspective to mentor today's players because he got a little bit of a taste of today's game in the latter years of his career. You know, he played against Dame or, you know, he retired after Dame was a rookie. So I think it's partially beneficial to have kind of a younger coach. That's why I'm not a fan of teams going for retreads, because the game has changed a lot since guys have played. So having a more recent coach, it worked out with Willie Green in New Orleans. It worked out with Ime Udoka in Boston. I think going the retread route, and this is another conversation that's relevant as of recently because I don't know how legitimate the report was of Mark Jackson to Sacramento. Don't tell me I got sacked or something.
No, that was legit. He's apparently
sadly for them. Yeah, which is just... What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with Mark Jackson getting another shot. You know, maybe he learned some stuff from his last... I mean, he did have some success with the Warriors. There was a franchise that didn't have anything and then was let go, and they win a championship the next year.
Yeah,
But, I mean, I think he's a finalist along with Mike Brown and was it D'Antoni or no? It's Steve Clifford.
Oh God,
is the other finalist. I don't know
why. Okay. Mike Brown would be the best choice of those three, but it's three retreads. But
he's a retread too, yeah. So,
I mean, I don't understand. Like, that's such a Kings list of top three candidates. Like, no surprise that those are the three guys for Sacramento.
I think they've done all their coaches, right? Going back as far as I can remember, have all been like not necessarily retreads, but coaches that have had other opportunities.
Yeah, Luke Walton was kind of new, obviously, and that didn't pan out. But
no, Walton was the coach of the Lakers for a year or two before that. Remember?
Oh yeah, he was, yeah. And that wasn't too good.
They let him go.
Yeah, like if it's a successful retread, like Budenholzer to the Bucks, you know, Budenholzer has his faults too, but he's kind of overcome some of them. But that was the thing with Budenholzer is I thought he was flexible enough where he wasn't too stuck in his ways or anything.
Well, he went there and I thought he did a really good job with the Bucks initially of the type of play that you needed to do to win with Giannis. And then as teams adjusted to what he was doing, he didn't have a counter, and that was the problem. But that's going back to an earlier conversation. That's why Middleton's so important because he can create shots and score in those situations when the offense does get stopped. So, but yeah, I think. Well, once again, they were half an inch away from losing in the second round again and underachieving again, and who knows who would have won the championship in that situation. But but he would have for sure got fired. So,
to the Kings, I've been thinking about this lately. I think the Kings might need to. I think it'd be in their best interest to fully blow it up. I don't see, like, they're not going to hire the right coach, it looks like. So they're not going to have any sort of boost from that, I don't think. I'm not a fan of, Mike Brown could be solid, but I'm not super confident in their coaching search right now. And they're stuck in a position where, I mean, maybe they get lottery luck this year and jump into the top three, but you have Fox and you have Sabonis, so you're not going to be as bad as the Houstons and the OKCs and the Detroits are right now. How are you going to add to that? I just don't see... I see them being stuck in the middle, and maybe they can finally make a playoffs, but Fox and Sabonis is not a good defensive pairing, and it's not like it has the offensive ability of a Dame or a CJ. Dame's been a superstar. Sabonis and Fox are just fringe all-stars at best. They're CJ caliber players. So they're stuck, and it's just sad how bad they've been for so long. And I don't think they're in a better position now than they were 5 years ago. They might be a little bit better now and have, a couple of guys that are big-name guys, but I just don't see their path forward to relevancy right now.
Yeah, you just can't do that after what they just did, unfortunately.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's just the Sabonis trade was a mistake.
I mean, they're dumb. They're a horrible franchise. They make terrible decisions like trading Maxey, and it's never gonna.
Trading Halliburton.
Or yeah,
you mean
Halliburton?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyrese. I got the wrong Tyrese.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's just a situation where they can't get out of their own way, and I don't know. I don't see any way to fix it. They already have the longest streak, I think maybe ever in the NBA of not making the playoffs. And then, on top of that, if they're just going to go like trust the process or full rebuild, I don't think they'll do it. But yeah, I agree that their building isn't right either. So they're kind of stuck. I don't think they can go the other way.
They should have kept Halliburton and traded Fox for a rebuilding-ish package. Picks, young players, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then sucked for 2 or 3 years, gotten some top draft picks to put next to Halliburton, and then you have the assets that you get for Fox as well. And then you're looking at potentially a team that could maybe steal home court advantage if the picks work out. But instead, you're talking about worse draft picks, and you got Fox and Sabonis instead, which is just a weird fit to me. I don't understand why they made that trade. That's just, they can't find the right GM, and now it's like they can't find the right coach. I know that this is going to be a mistake. Whoever they hire, Mike Brown I like, but if they hire him, it's just going to be a mistake because it's the Kings. Like, it's just such a poorly ran franchise. It reminds me of it's the NBA version of the Seattle Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, look who's talking trash about basketball, who keeps ducking every basketball game, Chief, and you don't even have room to talk anymore.
He says it's my fault I didn't tell him that I was playing, even though I did tell him we were playing, and he didn't respond after that. So
yeah, Dro out here saying moronic comments. Trust me, Dro, I will have no problem with you.
All right, Dro's my man, but Dro, I have to be honest. Torrey is a decent enough defender to where, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it'll be a pretty good matchup, 1-on-1 at least. But I don't think either of you are going to blow by each other.
It's gonna be. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, man. I am fully confident in that matchup, though. We can play 1-on-1, and we can put it in a video on the channel, Dro, if that's what you want, man. I am down for that.
Speaking of slow, is Gabe still in here?
No, but Chiefin is. Oh man. Yeah, I don't doubt Gabe's probably celebrating this win with a Fortnite stream. Anyway. Anything else you want to say for this stream?
No.
Oh, what's up, Gabe? Why do you want to know if Gabe was in here?
Oh, I was just making fun of him for being slow.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm slow, too. I gotta call it out. Dude, when I see it.
Gabe, I don't even know if it's Gabe being slow. Just his footwork is not optimal. It's not efficient.
Yeah, him and I are getting old, man.
But his foot, I watched some of his tape with him, and I gave him some coaching advice. Because, I want to see Gabe shine. So, that's why I helped him with this channel. It's almost at 1,000 subs. Go sub to Suns Valley podcast now. Get him to 1,000 subs. But his footwork was suboptimal. So, but Gabe can shoot. He has a step back. He can Finish. Mm-hmm. Gabe's, and he's 6'4". He He got to get that footwork more efficient. Bro, Chiefin talks way too much crap to duck every potential 1v1 game he says he wants, but doesn't actually want.
So, Chiefin asked me earlier in the day, last Thursday.
Oh, I feel like I'm about to get deja vu times 10.
I'll just bring this up so I know for sure what happened.
If you say you're 5'10" with a strap, that's how I know you're trash. Go ahead.
So yeah, it was like 10:30 in the morning. I have to work until 5, but I might pull up depending on where. And he said THPRD, which is the place where we were planning on going. And I said, yeah. And I said, weather permitting, at 10:49. Never heard from him again. So he just assumed we didn't play. Now he's saying it's my fault because they didn't tell him that we were playing in the rain or whatever, even though we're in Hillsborough, there was no rain at all. It was sunny and nice, and we ended up going to a park a little bit out of the way, but it was much better there. So yeah, you could have just said, "Hey, did you give up on playing, or are you still playing, or what?" And yeah,
and he'll sit here and say, "That's what I thought, bro, for real." But he's done this like 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it wasn't even raining at THPRD. It was just the court was a little too wet to play on it. So
doesn't he live around there too?
I don't know where he lives, but yeah,
I'm up here in Vancouver, so we're talking about, like, in terms of driving time, probably an hour and a half round trip of driving to get all the way out there. And I had rec at 6 p.m. Up in Vancouver, so yeah. But we'll set up some pickup runs here shortly, probably Saturdays, because I have rec on Sundays now, so Saturdays every other week in May is kind of the plan. Actually, we should organize one of those soon, very soon. I've just been caught up with the daily uploads and all that. But yeah, we'll figure something out. Anyway.
All right. Let's say we schedule something like 2 weeks from now on a Saturday night when Chiefin's not working. What are the chances
he works during the day on Saturday?
I don't know. I'm just saying, let's say we scheduled an open at a gym somewhere near his house at a time where he can make it. What are the chances he actually shows his face? Like 10%?
Yeah, I mean, if you base it on the past, you'd probably... I mean, if you base it on the past, you'd have to go 0%. But, I mean, at this point, maybe 1 out of 10 times, so 10% is a pretty good odds there. I would take a 10-1 odds on that bet. But Chiefin would just do whatever would lose me money because he's a hater, so wouldn't actually bet on it. But yeah,
Taylor, there'll be all kinds of skill levels there. So
yep, there will be real ballers like me and Eric and potentially Dro, but he, maybe Dro, and then there will be people like Chiefin if he shows up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So if Chiefin shows up, there's automatically one player better than Taylor.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm not. Dude said, I'm 5'10" with a strap, so...
David Lester, yeah, somewhere in the Portland area. We might go all over, so we might sometimes play up closer to Vancouver, maybe sometimes... out in Beaverton, maybe sometimes in the middle. I found a site that rents out gyms, and they're pretty much anywhere we want to play, and it's not too badly priced as long as we have at least 10, 15, 20 people that show up. So as long as we get enough people that want to actually come and chip in a little bit for those, shouldn't be a problem.
Yep. Anyway, anything else for this wonderful stream?
No, thank you everyone for watching. Yeah. You mean Portland? Yeah, we've gone. I mean, if there's a Rip City 3-on-3 tournament this year, we'll probably have to at least train a little bit outside just to get used to playing outside.
Chiefin, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Bro, I started 2 years for a school that was 22-0 with me as a starter in league. Bro. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You talk a lot of mess for not backing it up. All bark, no bite. And now you're just making things up. This dude got to make up false facts to try and get me. We'll see if you show up one of these days. No, I'm getting... No, he's in his own head. He's spewing falsehoods. And I'm just correcting him. Because, you know, I'm real. I don't have to sit up here on stream and lie, bro. I started all 4 games in Les Schwab. What are you talking about? Unfortunately, we didn't get to play Peyton Pritchard's team that year because I would have blocked him. But I saw him shoot step-back threes on Aaron Gordon. Your memory is bad if you think I came off the bench. Anyway. Your mom says night, so it's time for us to get off the stream.
Yeah.
Anyway. We'll be live again on Thursday. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss these wonderful discussions about basketball. We'll have some more uploads in the next couple of days, so subscribe to the main channel. And we will catch you in the next stream or the next video, whenever that is. I hope life is good. And any final words, Eric?
Well, have a good night, everyone. Talk to you later.
Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.